See?
Yes.
Yes, Mahesh.
Okay. So, in the last session, we have discussed about various actions that we can perform on a web page, right? So, we covered these are all different operations that we have covered, and we have covered select class and alerts. So, the remaining things are tabs and frames. So tab is nothing but we have different tabs in Chrome browser app. In any application we will be having some links. When you click on that particular link, it opens that particular web page in a new tab. So in Selenium we have to handle that in a different way. Like for example, if you are in the same page, you can perform any operation that you wanted to perform. You can do without switching to the another tab. For example, here what we are doing, when you click on this particular link, it opens a new page in a new tab. Okay, so and when you are trying to perform any of the action on this particular page, you cannot do without switching to the tab, right? Before that you are in this page. Now you are trying to do some other action in by switching to this particular tab. So in order to perform any action on the new page, first of all you have to switch to this particular tab. This is a tab, right? You can have n number of tabs in a browser. So now we will discuss how to switch from current tab to the another tab. So if you first of all, in order to get the, for example, you just open a browser and you open this particular application, and now you wanted to click on this particular button which opens a new tab. First of all, we wanted to get the id of this particular element, right? So you can see here the id is open tab. Okay, so now with the help of this id, we will identify this particular button and clicks on it. As soon as you click, it opens a new tab. So I have already written some code related to it. I'll explain. So here the current handle is nothing but in which tab currently we are in. I mean the current tab. This is the current tab for us, right? So we have to store that uh, idea of what it returns is driver.get window handle returns a string. See, the return type for this method is string. So as soon as you invoke this method, it will store a variable name of this handle as just in a string format. Yeah, I will show while running what it exactly contains. Okay, so we are just storing the current tabs identifier in a current handle variable, and then we are clicking on the open tab button. So here driver dot find element by, so this is a button that we wanted to click, right? So as soon as you click, it opens a new tab. So there could be n number of tabs in a browser, right? So what we are doing is we are storing all the tabs identifier. For example, here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 tabs. There are 5 different tabs. Now what I'm doing is I am storing the identifier of each and every tab in a set of strings. So why we are taking set here is set will not allow duplicate. Whereas if you go for list of strings, list will allow duplicates, but set will not allow duplicates. It is a Java util package. So where it is an important interview question where you can they will ask what how do you store the tab identifiers using collection. So your answer should be I'll store the collection of identifiers in a set. They will ask again what is why you are using set only, why not list? So your answer should be list allows duplicate identifiers, but set allows only unique identifiers. So if you are trying to store a duplicate handles in set, it will not create another duplicate. It just stores a unique string variable in that particular string. Okay, so that's the reason we are storing these all the handles or identifiers of that tabs in a set. So now what we are doing is, now we are in current tab and click on this open tab button. As soon as you click on that open tab button, it opens a new tab. So once it is opened a new tab, we are getting the list of tabs that are currently present on the browser. For example, you just opened a application and you click on that button, it opens a new tab. Now how many tabs we have? Anyone? So here what we are doing, we just launched this particular application and we are trying to click on this button, open tab. So how many tabs we have now?
Two tabs.
Yeah. So two tabs we have. There could be some scenarios where you have already previously you have opened some other tabs. So based on the situation that you are in, you have to get the number of tabs that are already open. So in order to get the number of tabs, so there is a difference you are seeing. Get window handle is, it is a method which only returns the current tabs identifier in a string variable. Whereas get window handles is a method which returns a list of unique identifiers of each tabs in a set of strings. You are seeing set of strings here, right? So this is the return type of this particular method. So what this method do is, it will return the list of unique identifiers of each and every tab that are currently opened in the browser. So for example, now if you are while debugging, you will get to know how many unique identifiers are present in these handles. So now what we are doing is, we are checking each and every tab by switching by using a for loop, where we are asserting if the current window handle is not equal to the actual window handle. That means it is having for example 1 and 2 are the two different unique identifiers, and one is the current window handle and the two is the another tab's unique identifier. So now I wanted to switch to the second tab. I need to make sure that I am not switching to the current tab again. So that what here I am doing is, I am comparing the current window handle. Current window handle is this one, okay, and this handle is containing, this is the list set of unique identifiers. It has two, but what it is doing is, for example, from this handles, it first variable is 1 and second variable is 2. So for loop is nothing but it will traverse how many handles it has. For example, handles has 2, right? This particular code will execute 2 times. So first time handles will be having variable as 1, okay. So it will compare 1 with the current window handle. Current window handle is 1, so 1 is equals to 1. Then here you are using negation condition. Negation means if 1 is not equal to 1, then only switch. If this is actual window, right? So if the actual window is not equal to current handle, then only switch. You can see negation symbol here. So if you just remove that, what we are doing, you are comparing the current tab with the current tab with the actual tab. Actual tab means in handles we have two tabs. One is current window and the second one is the newly opened tab. So first one is current tab and the second tab is newly opened tab. So here we are comparing the current window with the new handle. So if both are equal, we don't need to switch, right? So that's the reason we are using negation operation here. So that if the current window is not equal to the newly opened window, then only switch to that window. So it's better to show you in a debug mode so that you will get idea. So I'm running in it in debug mode. See, so far we just launched the URL, that is due to this code. Before every test we are running this particular block of code, right? So it just open the URL and maximizes that particular screen. You can see this is what it does so far. So now go to the line that we are in. So this is the first line of our test. So here what we are doing, we are just trying to get the current tab's unique identifier. That means this tab's unique identifier. If you want to see the unique identifier, so you can see some string variable, right? This is the unique identifier of that particular tab. You are seeing this, right? DB838. This is the unique identifier for that particular tab. Now we are trying to click on this button, open tab. See, it clicks on open tab and it opens a new page in a new tab. This is the a new web page in a new tab. Now we wanted to perform any action on this particular page. We have to switch before doing any action on this particular page, because earlier we were in this tab and now again without switching you wanted to perform any action on this particular page. It is not possible, right? Manually also. The same functionality we have to do with the help of code.
So, like whatever we are doing manually, everything needs to be coded here.
Yes. So now we have the current window, current tabs, unique identifier. Now we clicked on the new tab. Now we wanted to get how many tabs are there in current, at present, how many tabs we have. So this particular operation, what it does is it returns the list of unique identifiers of each and every tab that are currently open. I'll show you how what it contains now. See, handles. Now it returns 2. So this is the first tab's unique identifier and this is the second tab's unique identifier, right? So with the help of these strings, we can switch between different tabs. So here what we are doing next is we are we are using a for loop to traverse between each and every tab. In order to switch to this particular tab, first of all we should make sure that we are not in the same tab that we are in previously. For example, this is the current window handle and 0th is the current window handle. So if current handle is equal to this particular variable, we should not switch. If not, we can switch. That is what here we are doing. Got it? There could be, for example, there could be multiple, like even you can see 5 tabs, but you wanted to go to a particular frame, but you wanted to go to a particular tab. You have to you can compare the URL of that particular, for example, here you can compare with the help of title. For example, let me show you. Okay, sorry. So with the help of title also you can switch. But since we have only two, we only have 2 tabs here, right? So we just compare with if the newly open tab is not equal to the current handle, then we are switching here. So let me go to the for loop again. So here the actual is something with the DB, right? Starts with DB, whereas current handle is DB. So if actual window is not equal to current window, then only we are trying to switch. But here the actual window is DB and the current handle also DB. So we are not switching. I mean, we with the help of this particular code, we will be switching. But at this time, at this iteration, we are not doing anything. We will just ignore this if condition will fail and it will run again. It will take the another string from this set. See, it directly the control goes out of the if condition. Now the second iteration starts. Now the index is at 1. Sorry. If the now you can observe the actual identifier of the tab is B5, whereas the current handles identifier is DP. So both are not equal. Now we are trying to switch to the new tab. So in order to switch to a new tab, you can use this code driver dot switch to dot window, and the identifier is stored in this variable actual. So you can use the identifier of that particular tab. So when you are switching to that particular tab, you have to pass the unique identifier of that particular tab. Now the control would come onto the new tab after this statement. Now, in order to make sure that your WebDriver's control is switched to the new tab, I'm just printing the current URL of that particular newly opened tab. See, the control comes here, and you can see the URL as letscode.com/courses would print in the console. See, this is printed, right? So now the control is in new tab. Now you wanted to close the newly opened tab, you can use directly driver.close method. So when you use this particular method, what it does is it just closes the current tab. Whereas if you are using driver.quit method, it closes entire browser. So this is also one of the important interview question. They will ask what is the difference between driver.quit and driver.close. So your answer should be, if you are using driver.close, this will just closes the current tab. Whereas if you are using driver.quit, it closes the entire browser. You understood, right? So close just closes this one, whereas if you use driver.quit, it entirely the browser entire browser would close. So that is the difference between driver.quit and driver.close. So I'll just run normally now. Maybe in order to see the difference, I'll just use one more thread.sleep here. Sorry. So it opens a new tab now. Now after printing the URL of this, it closes now. Now you see now you see the difference, right? So close just closes the current tab, and again in somewhere else we are using driver.quit also. That is it. At the end of the test execution, we are using after test annotation, right? So this particular statement will close the entire browser. How many tabs, no matter how many tabs are currently open in that particular browser, it just closes the browser. So this is about the tabs. And then what next? Frames. So frames is also one of the important concept in any web page. So a frame is nothing but a web page within a web page. Like for example, this is a web page, right? So inside this web page, there could be another web page that is embedded in this particular web page. So in order to know whether this particular web page contains any iframes, you have to there are two ways. For example, here when you right click, you don't see any frame related options when you right click on that particular web page. But if you are going before that, I'll show you how many iframes this particular web page contains. In order to know how many iframes it contains, you just give double slash iframe. So if you give iframe double slash, you can see one, right? So this particular web page contains only one iframe. So in order to know what is which where exactly it is located, you can directly click on this. When you hover on this, so you can see iframe here. So here, this is a web page within a web page within a web page. So when you right click on this particular section, you don't see any iframe related operations. Whereas if you go to this particular iframe, this is iframe. This entire section is iframe. So you can see the scroll bar, right? So this particular section is a web page within a web page. So when you right click on this iframe, you can see the different options related to frame. So reload frame, you view frame source. If you are seeing these two options on a right click, that means that particular section is under a iframe. So in order to, in a similar way, like we have discussed about the tabs, right? So in order to do any action on this particular area, you have to switch to that particular section before doing any action. If you simply click on, if you simply get the identifier of this particular link, like for example here, this is a home link, right? So I'll just identify this XPath of for this home, and I am trying to click on home. It will not work because this particular all the this entire section is under a iframe. So in order to do any action on this iframe, you have to switch before doing any action. So in the example, I'll show you how we can switch and how many ways we can switch between the frames. So this is covered. For example, I'm just in the before test method, I'm just opening the application. Now I wanted to click on sign in button here. Okay. So when you wanted to click on sign in button on an iframe, you have to switch to iframe first. For switching to iframes, you can use driver dot switch to dot frame. So in order to switch to frame, there are three ways we can switch. One is index, and one is ID, and one is the name any web element present on that particular frame. You can write XPath for that particular entire frame, right? So you just get the entire section. This is the section, right? So you have to get the ID of this entire section. So what we are doing is we are on the main page and we are trying to switch from main page to the iframe content. And now I wanted to click on sign in button. So in order to click on sign in button present on this, get the XPath of this particular element. So now I wanted to write the XPath for this particular link. // a dot equals to sign in. So you are seeing two different XPath, right? So one is on the main page and one is on the frame. Let's see what happens if you are using this particular XPath, because it has two matches. Whether it is clicking on the this sign in or this sign in, we will get to know. Now we are on the iframe driver dot find element. We'll see what is happening now. Whether it is clicking or not on the sign in page, we have to click on sign in button, right? Okay, let me run it in debug mode. Okay, so now we are on this particular page. Now we wanted to take the control of WebDriver from this to this iframe.
Sorry to
So,
interrupt, Mahesh. Meeting is about to end in a minute. Sorry.
in how many minutes?
In a minute.
Okay, then we'll
Yeah.
rejoin.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So now in this case, what we are doing is we are switching from main page to the frame with this statement driver dot switch to dot frame, and this is the name or ID we can pass so that it will identify the frame with the help of this particular identifier. Sorry, what happened? Let me debug again. Sorry. Why it is not able to? It is not able to identify the iframe for some reason. Let me. No frame element found by name or ID. Iframe example div. Okay. So the XPath that we have added is incorrect for iframe. Let me get the correct ID for that particular iframe. Okay. So we have to get the ID of this one. Iframe tags ID, not the divs. So this is ID for the iframe tags. So we can use this one. Let me run in debug. So this time the control is successful. It now the driver's control is on of iframe. Now it should click on sign in button. So sign in button of this area. Okay. Yeah. it seems it clicks on sign in. Now we can see the login here, right? So that means once we are switching from one area to other area, it is able to identify the uh, any action, any element on that particular iframe, and it is able to click on sign in button. So in order to switch, the frames concept is nothing. We can switch from one page, the main page to the frame with the help of ID, name, or index. For example, if you wanted to switch to the frame with the help of indexes, you can just pass we only have one frame, right? We can just give 0. So for example, since we have only one frame, you can directly pass the string as 0 here, and the previous one is we have used a name or ID, right? You can with the help of the index of the frame, you can switch. Once you switch, you can click on sign in button, and you can try to log in also. We already have login code, right? Where is that? Yeah, this one. We'll see whether this is working or not. Yeah, so that is working. Maybe the credentials are incorrect, but the entering username and password are working fine. Maybe this is the correct test. This is the correct email. So the operation that we wanted to perform on iframe is working fine. Any doubts on tabs and frames so far? Okay, so we have covered frames. And then test ng annotations. So in the test ng annotations, we already covered before test and after test. You we already using these two annotations. So the mainly we will be using these two annotations. But in case if you wanted to go through what it does and why do we have different tags, I'll provide you this explanation. Most of the times we will be using only these two tags, and there could be, if you are creating any test suite, then only you will have to use these before suit and after suit. I'll give you an example of why in which scenario we have to go for this. For example, in your application you have to connect to a database before execution of the entire regression suite. So it would be better to connect to the database before executing any test execution throughout your test automation framework or throughout your regression suite, right? So entire suite requires a DB connection. So that particular part of code, I mean database connection code should be written under this particular tab. So and the similarly after suit is once the test execution of entire your suit regression suit is completed, so we have to close the database connection. So that particular piece of code can be comes under after suit. So this is an example of usage for this particular tags. Similarly, groups. So groups we haven't discussed where where exactly this comes in. So I'll give you an example of uh, for example, I'll just create a sample testng class demo annotations. Let's use test. I'm just giving some random names here. So here what we are doing is I'll show you in which order it takes execution order. So you have a test class, okay? So this test class have n number of methods. The order of execution by default in TestNG is an alphabetical order. For example, here we have written A as first and R and second and grapes. If you are seeing, if you when you're trying to execute this particular entire TestNG test class, the order of test execution in alphabetical order. Alpha, if you are comparing with alphabets, the first would be this one, and the second one would be this, and third one would be this, right? But the order that we give is in reverse order. For example, I'll just move this here. So what I'm trying to say here is in which order you wrote test case is not matter. It just take the methods and run in an alphabetical order. So I'll just normally. So first would be executing apple and then grapes and then orange, right? In alphabetical order that will come. See, first executed apple, then grapes, then orange. Now, if you wanted to, for example, I wanted to run the orange method first, you have to give priority variable to this particular thing. So TestNG supports a different kind of attributes and annotations. These are different annotations and these are the attributes. Okay. So I want my requirement is I wanted to run a particular test on a priority. I mean top priority. So priority is one of the attribute for a test annotation. For example, I want to run this particular test first. How we can run this particular test is you have to assign priority as 1. It starts from negative to positive. So if you are passing -5 here and you are passing +5 here. So the first test would be this one because -5 is lesser than the +5, right? I'll show you in a practical way. So the first test would be this one and the second would be this one and the last would be this one because we are not giving anything here. See, first it executed test orange. Okay. See, first because this is a high priority. Even if you are passing the negative value here, so this is the high priority. And then since if you are not giving any priority, so this the default priority for this is 0. So -5, 0, and 5. Orange, grapes, and apple. So by default, TestNG will execute your test cases in alphabetical order. But if you wanted to change the sequence of execution, you can use this particular variable called priority. So this will take integer values. And one more important is, for example, while your test execution, for example, you are trying to connect to a database and verify some value in the particular table, and the database connection is waiting so many, for example, usually it will quickly connect to the database, but you are trying to connect, but the connection is not happening successfully. And you wanted to wait only for 10 seconds to database connection. If within that 10 seconds you are not able to connect to the database, you wanted to throw timeout. So after 20 minutes, after 20 seconds, you wanted to fail the test case. Within that 20 seconds, your database connection should successful. Otherwise, you wanted to fail the test case instead of waiting for indefinite time. I'll give you an example of this also. This is the name of our test. So for this, I can use attribute called timeout equal to, for example, I'll give 5 milliseconds. So here what I'm specifying is, if your test execution is taking more than 5 seconds, I wanted to fail the test case. So how I can simulate this? I'll use thread.sleep method for here, so that the test execution would be more than the given execution time. I'll use 9. So here what it is trying, it is trying to execute this particular test case more than 9 seconds. So it is failed now. You can see the exception, thread timeout exception. You can see the clear description. This particular test case didn't finish within the timeout of 5 seconds. So that's the reason this particular test case got failed. So the main advantage of using this variable is, if your test case is executing so long and due to indefinitely it is trying to execute something but it is not happening, you wanted to restrict the test execution time to a certain fixed amount of time, then you can use this particular variable. And then description is nothing but you are giving a proper name to your test case, so that when you are creating test reports, it automatically get the description of your test case and put the same description in the reports. So I'll just show the syntax for this. Here you can give the proper description what exactly you are doing, so that for example in your team you have, for example, 5 members, they wanted to understand what this particular test is exactly doing, then you can give proper description about the test case. It's only for readability purpose. For demoing timeout attribute, like this you can give a clear description about. Timeout is already defined in demo annotations. Okay, so here both the test methods having same name, right? So we have to give some other name for this. Test description tag. And and one more is enabled. Enabled is nothing but you wanted to execute a some particular test case and you wanted to ignore some test cases, you can use this particular attribute in testng. For example, I wanted to when I am trying to execute my entire testng class, and but I wanted to ignore this particular timeout timeout test case, I'll just add one more variable here. Enabled is equals to false. If you are giving a false to this particular attribute, this particular test case will be ignored. So you are in real time scenarios where you don't want to execute a particular set of test cases, you can give this particular variable so that it will skip execution of this particular test case. See, now it just executed 4 methods, but not test time mode is not executed this time. But if you wanted to execute again, you just have to pass true value to this particular method. Sorry. So this time it also executed this particular method test timeout, but as we know this will this will fail for some purpose, we already have given timeout for 5 and but waiting for 9 seconds. That's the reason it failed. But this time it executed this particular method as well because we have given enabled as true. So by default it would be true, but if you are specifically trying to ignore any particular test method to execute, you can pass the value as false. And the other thing is depends on methods. So depends on methods is I'll give you an example scenario. For example, you are on a home page and I after login I can do any other actions right. For example, let me log in here, test@email.com, abc. So after login only you can do some particular actions, right? For example, I wanted to click on this my account button, but this my account button will be displayed only when I'm successfully logged in. Okay. So here the scenario is first method would be like test login. If the test login method is not successful, I cannot execute this particular my account functionality test case, right? So for example, I'll just give you a demo on a high level. Like for example, this is a test public void test login, and then after that I wanted to verify the functionality of my account. But this my account test case, I wanted to execute this particular my account test only when test login is successful. But there is no communication, there is no relationship between these two methods, right? So in order to give a relationship between these two methods, so I can pass a attribute called depends on methods, or I can directly use the method here, depends on methods. And here you have to pass the name of the method that you are depending. Here the name is test login, right? We have to pass and like this. So here what it does is when the test login method is successful, then only execute this my account method. Otherwise, this should not execute. So purposefully I'll just try to uh, pass and fail asset dot asset true. I'm just passing true so that this particular condition is successful. Then it will try to execute this particular my account method. Okay. Let me run entire test again. See here, test login method executed. It's successful. Now that my account method is also my account test is also get executed. Now I wanted to purposefully fail this particular test case to see the behavior. I'll just fail this particular test. So here we are just output as false, but we are comparing with true, right? So by default, this particular method will fail. We'll see what is happening now. This time, this particular method is failed, but this method is present an outcome of this particular method. Okay, see what is happening. Test login method is failed, but my account It did not execute it, right? Because this particular test method is failed. You understood this? Depends on method. So you wanted to you have some test cases which depends on some other test cases, then you can use this particular attribute. So clear? Any questions on this? Okay. So next, testng.xml file. Okay, this one. So the purpose of using this testng.xml file is, in your test framework there could be n number of classes. Okay, but you wanted to execute all the different combination of test cases. So testng.xml file is mainly to organize your execution of test cases in a proper way. So this testng.xml file comes under src direct, I mean at the level of src. New file testng.xml. So with the help of this file you can organize your test executions. Okay, so this is the syntax for that particular testng.xml's format is like this. So here what I this provides a number of options, but for now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to execute a class. We have different test classes here, right? Demo annotations, test framework, test. So here what we can do is, I'll just ignore this. So the first variable, this is any XML file would have this particular tags, but here comes start from here. This is the XML's main tag, where suit comes first and then test. And now I wanted to execute particular class. So you have to pass classes. Under that you can pass n number of classes. For example, we have two different classes, right? So I'll just give the name of which class I wanted to execute now. I'll just try to execute demo annotations. So this particular, when you are trying to this section now we don't need, but if you wanted to pass any global variables, you can use this concept. But right now we don't have any as such concept. So now you can these two classes are at different two different classes, and I wanted to execute two different classes at a time. You can use this thing. You can use a number of you can pass a number of classes here. Like you can pass here test framework test. So what it does is, at a time it will execute all your classes. You can pass all the class names. Right click here. Where is the run? There should be run method here. For some reason it is not showing. Mhm. So it seems some syntax is missed here. Okay, okay. Just
What happened, Mahesh?
yeah, I'm just checking the syntax for the XML file. Now it is able to, and IntelliJ is not able to recognize the XML file. Now it is recognizing. You can see the run option here, right? So I'll just remove this tag here, and I'll pass the name of our test case. demo annotations. And similarly, I'll pass one more class name here. Test framework test. So now when you right click on here, you can see the run option here, right? So when you run your test classes from here, this XML file, it will execute all your test cases at different places. For example, if in real time there could be hundreds of test files. So you wanted to run each and every file, you can run all the files from here instead of going to the particular test case and right click and run. Instead of doing that, you can organize your test execution with the help of testng.xml file. See, two different classes at two different places, right? But with the help of testng xml, we are able to execute all our test cases. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so I'll commit this entire code, and please do practice. If you are not practicing, you will not understand any concepts that we have learned so far, right? So I already committed the previous section code in GitHub. GitHub. So anyone tried to clone this particular code and you tried, or you are just listening the sessions? You're not, are you practicing anything?
Guys, no response from anybody. Looks like nobody was put anything, Mahesh. We can see the same status. Nothing was committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see the status in the Git. Looks like nobody is doing anything in the Git repo.
So I committed the last session on 5 days ago. After that, no commits.
Yeah, looks like these people are not committing anything.
Hmm.
So please do your commits, okay? So then only we can able to see here.
So in today's code, whatever we have written, I'll try to commit now.
We can ask anybody, Mahesh, how to do that. Maybe can explain what are the steps we need to follow now? Anybody? So nobody wants this automation.
Automation only manual.
We want some time to prepare for this. Another.
No, but you
Okay.
people are already practiced, right? Git and all. We are just asking like how to do the commits.
I'm finding it difficult writing these codes and class name like this.
No, see, for one project, one piece, you can start taking and try to understand the code base, like how it could be. So the same time, if you are repeating multiple times, it is not a harmful. Like it doesn't create any issue. So you need to understand the file by file. Okay, the first step, what he Mahesh created. Okay, the step two, what are the files we need to. So how the test ng. So let me understand the test ng, and they need to go to the again, what is test ng? So just do the little analysis, then definitely you will understand. So because I see many people who are from mechanical background, there are many from civil background. They are working in IT. If you want, I can give you some of the context. You can check with them. Because of the fashion, doesn't mean that they are not from coding background, but now they are Java developer, they are automation because of the interest. So
Yeah, but
never take any excuse. Hmm.
once you start writing, and you can refer from online, or just take this reference and try to write manually. If you are just listening, you will not understand anything. Once you start writing, then only you will get hands-on experience. So that, for example, if you are just practicing for 10 days, you will get idea what exactly is happening and why we are doing this. Because in real time, if you are going with only manual testing, nobody will take you.
And you
If you
don't
are
get the
having,
pay. That is the
yeah.
another challenge, Mahesh. You will get very less pay with manual
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
manual can be just very low. But if you do automation, you're expert. So I was expected Saturday, Sunday, anybody can discuss in the group where like we can do any workshop or something. That is what I was expected from anybody, but nobody was responding in that group. So just like there is no point of sitting ideal, guys. It's, to be honest, like do a lot of practice, okay? Because this is your life. Again, I'm stretching this point. This is your entire life. Just do stretch for at least, 1 day, 1 hour in a day doesn't create any issues, right? We see a lot of reels in Instagram. At least spend 1 hour. No? I'm just asking for only 30 days. No, the remaining days, like it's up to you. But at least do. Otherwise, it will be very challenge because this is the life challenge,
How
guys.
about anyone sharing screen now? Yeah, Satya. How about
I know.
and then
But
we can help now itself.
we we can't hear
Am
your
I
voice.
audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yeah. How about like Chinna or someone can share their screen? What issue they're facing? They I mean sometimes maybe since the differences
Yeah,
will stay
so
for
there
them
is no harm. Right now, we
to
are giving the
initiate itself.
time. So
They
at
may
least
start.
by guys, this Saturday, Sunday, if you people are not taking, then I want to conduct the Saturday, Sunday workshop. So all two people has to work all together, and you need to write the piece of code. So if you don't want to spend some time now, but I need to
Yeah.
take into the weekends. At least if people has to spend the weekend all together. Everybody has to be there in that
So I
weekend
think
session.
yes, Satya. Like Mohini or Vikas or Chinna, any one of you can share your screen and do clone now in front of everyone.
Yeah,
So that
that
if
would
you
be
are
good.
stuck somewhere or if you are facing any difficulty to initiate something, then we can help here itself, right? So that others also can.
There is no point of covering 100
Anyone
topics, guys.
ready with intelligent?
Yeah, there is no point of covering 100 topics in the session. Doesn't value until unless you should be more productive. So because of your request only, we are spending one person completely for automation, one person completely working on the functional side. That's why we are not mixing together because of the workshop. Like you people may get all together in one shot. That's what we are doing the practices now. That's why Mahesh is completely taking automation today. The same way Anu and me. Okay, so this time anyhow, we are not giving you. We are okay to give excuse for now, but in going forward, if I'm going to get the same excuse from anybody, then it's not a good way, guys. Honestly, I'm talking now because I can't give answer to vendor, right? In case of any things happen, so we are not going to respond to the vendor that okay, nobody's talking, nobody's speaking. It doesn't mean that why you people are enrolled for this session. If it is a mute, then there is no point of enrolling these classes, right? We are expecting it should be 100% effective for you people, even though the early mornings for them. But why they are stretching, guys? So I don't know. Nobody is responding in the groups. Nobody is using phones. Everybody say thumbs up only. I am seeing only thumbs up, but nobody was discussing anything. Weekends, guys, we have a buddy mentor. Each and everybody spend some time here. Let's have a group together. I'm not clear with this topic. Can we sit sometime? Let's do this. That is what we need a practice, guys. We should keep your practices, right? So that is what you need to put your more interest. Yeah, I think now the commits are done.
Mm.
Yeah, you can see 1 minute ago, and maybe Mahesh, we can see your name who is committed. Also, we can see, right?
Yeah, we can see
Yeah, that is tree. We can show them.
4 commits. See, my HNS is committed 1 minute ago.
Yeah, looks like nobody was done anything. This is the basic framework, guys. It's not any complication. Wherever you're not getting, let us know, like in the group or anywhere. See, this is what I'm not familiar. Then definitely we can provide you some reference, videos or reference material to you people who are not familiar with the particular one. Hey, I'm not happy with the test ng. Then I can give you some reference, right? Hey, I'm not clear with the Selenium, how to do from the very scratch level. Then I can give you one video because you need to ask, right, what exactly you need it. That is what we want to know.